because it's time for America's favorite game show.
Do you mean Wheel of Fortune?
I'm talking about Quiz the
Dibbs. Oh, I am so excited about today's Quiz the Dibbs. Oh, a special version, too. That's right, special version, kiddos. Congratulations, those who listen to the show today. You get a little something extra. Now, Quiz the Dibbs goes as such. Rob Dibble, host of this show, played some baseball back in the 90s. And baseball people, no matter what era it is, when you get into the club of the Major League Baseball player, it is a club that I don't think they inject baseball history into your memory, but somehow, some way, it just gets in there. And then if you are actually on the field and meeting these guys, you never forget a name, you never forget a at-bat, you never forget what the weather was when you gave up that one home run. It's amazing to see baseball players' memories on baseball things. Other things, dumb. D-U-M, dumb. Not Dibbs, though. Not Dibbs. Dibbs, you're smart on every topic.
I tried.
So we're back in the 1990 box set score. This is our friend John Ashmead's box set that he loaned us for some Quiz the Dibbs. Give it a camera. So this is a special edition because Dibbs is in Studio 49, and we are in the Hartford studio. So the people that are watching on the YouTube channel can see exactly the cards that we are laying out there. And those listening on the radio are just going to have the theater of the mind. But the one good thing is you will know that Dibbs does not have any kind of knowledge of what these cards are that I'm pulling out because he's not even in the same room as us. So
No, usually you have them in an envelope.
Yep, usually they're in a secret envelope that no one's been able to see. Now, Kurt is on the keys to give you the right buzzer and the wrong buzzer. And we're making it a little bit easier this time around with this box set. The last time we just pulled out a random stack, no matter where it was. I did that as well, but I kind of separated them to ones that I know you know and ones that I want to know more about a particular person. And I think there may be two in here you don't know. But I'm always wrong. I'm always wrong. You could go perfect. We'll see how you do. And like always, Dibbs, I'm going to start from the 100 level and move to the 400 level of Quiz the Dibbs baseball cards. We give Dibbs a little bit of detail on the baseball cards, and we'll see how long it takes him before he figures out the card we are actually talking about. Now, again, Dibbs, 1990 score box set. 1990, right in your wheelhouse. That's why when we saw this box set, we got really excited because we knew it would work for a lot of Quiz the Dibbs. Are you ready, Dibbs?
I'm always ready.
All right, the first one is a usual suspect, one that I think I have a version of about 300 different versions of this particular player. New York Met. Now, this is a pitcher, and this pitch, man, he has got some serious torque. Big righty, and again, this is one that's always...
Not good?
Yeah, that is correct, sir. It's the legendary Doc Gooden. You always talk about these picks when they catch you, like, right when the ball's behind your head as a pitcher, and it really illustrates your UCL.
Well, listen, humans aren't supposed to throw above the shoulder like that. And so you're basically shoving your shoulder through your rotator cuff, labrum, everything out the front. And then the elbow, which is taking the brunt of it, like when you throw a football and you're leading with your elbow, it just separates. And so when they, and even going back 30, 33 years, when you snap that picture in the perfect, right in the middle of your motion, it's scary because you don't know you're doing that as a player. You never see it until you see a picture of it. Then you're like, wow. So when Doc Gooden did it, and did it as well as he did, and knowing how amazing his curveball was, one of the greatest ever curveballs that I've ever seen. I mean, I think he was in the big leagues at 18 and striking out like 300 guys. So when you see that kind of stuff, I'm amazed that humans can do what we do.
Do you know his stat line for 1985, one of his best years ever? Do you know any kind of numbers around that?
I think it was like 24-3 or something like that.
24-4.
24-4.
Gosh, that was great how you got that. 1.53 ERA.
I didn't even know it was that low. That's amazing.
Complete games out of 35 starts.
I'm going to say probably 15.
16. Wow. Give him another ding. That was
Correct.
Impressive. John, I'm going to hand that to you because that's Doc Gooden. That's number 313. It might not be worth as much because he probably got that printed about 1,000 times. However, it's still Doc Gooden, man. So look that one up. Might be 75 cents. All right, moving on, Dibbs. Let's go to the other side of the city. New York Yankees could really use this outfielder in this 1990 score. Oh, big boy as well. Coming to the Yankees from the Padres back from the 80 season and was there with the Yankees for a while. Consistently hitting around 270, but he's got a couple of years. Man, 1984, this dude hit 340. What? Also, 1988, 322. Career average 287. But I just remember this guy being a home run threat almost every time he came up. However, looking at these stats on the back of the card, 37 in 1982 was his best year hitting home runs.
Jesse Barfield?
No, not Jesse Barfield. Wow. Interesting you went there, though.
Yeah, because you said Padres, not Blue Jays. Jesse came from the Blue Jays.
Right. This guy came from the Padres, was there from 1973 to 1980, and then he became a Yankee for the next decade.
Oh, my God. Why am I drawing a blank?
I don't know. This is an all-star. This is a guy a lot of people know about, and I think he's one of your faves.
Danny Tartable?
Wow. No. That is third time's a charm. Outfielder here. I don't have a number. Do I? Yeah, I do have a number. Right field, number 31.
Oh, my God. Dave Winfield.
You are correct, sir.
I don't even remember. Remember, there's no interleague in 90. So
right.
I'm not playing Dave Winfield, and I didn't play him in the World Series. So, damn. Yeah, you're right.
I know you were going to be kicking yourself after missing that.
I will, but you should have thrown in. He was drafted by 4
Oh, that would have
teams.
been a giveaway. That would
I know it would have.
So a lot of people need to know that, though.
Yes.
NFL, NBA, MLB. What was the
ABA? So
yeah,
both back then, before the merger, he could have played with Dr. J in the ABA.
Think about that. And a beast, by the way.
Dude, he is, and I'm not going to lie when I say it's one of the nicest gentlemen, humans I've ever met. Dave Winfield is one of the greatest ambassadors the game's ever had.
Back of the card, honestly. Let me see that back of the card. I'll show the people, too, on YouTube. But, every time I saw the back of the card, Dave Winfield posed smile, I always thought that as well. It's like, man, this dude's like a nice guy. He'll kill you on the field.
I remember when the Yankees signed him, he showed up in a big full-length fur like Joe Namath.
Yeah.
And I've never asked him, but I bet he, for some reason, loved Joe Namath or just wanted to do that. Maybe Walt Frazier. Maybe he wanted to be like Walt Frazier of the Knicks.
Yeah.
But that fur coat, I'll never forget.
All right, let's stay in the AL East. Let's move to the catcher position behind the plate for the Baltimore Orioles back then. And I know this isn't your league, but this guy also was an all-star. I really liked this guy, probably because I was a Disney fan, though, and that's why I ended up liking this guy when I was a kiddo. Wasn't athletic before he was an Oriole. Did start with the Orioles in 88. A decent hitting catcher, but known for putting the ball over the fence in 88. He had 26 home runs that year, also supported 65 RBIs, and he did steal some bags every now and then, but not known for his speed because, again, he was a catcher. Baltimore Orioles catcher in this 1990 scorecard, Dibbs.
I'm going to kick myself because I don't remember.
Wow. One thing I remember about this guy, a lot of pine tar. And I always thought his barrel of his bat was bigger than everybody else, but I always thought this catcher –
Rick Dempsey?
No, man.
I was going to guess that.
Wow. Kurt even said that.
Kurt, who was it?
Mickey Tendleton.
Mickey Tendleton?
Yeah, Mickey Tendleton. He's a youngster
Tigers
here.
With him.
Yeah, Tigers.
And Fruit Loops. Remember he was a big guy that ate Fruit Loops?
Yep. I do remember this. Good kid, man.
Great kid.
Stayed in the
Great
league
player.
for a long time, but yeah, I was a fan because of Mickey. I thought, man, this guy's Mickey. I like Mickey Mouse. I definitely like Mickey Templeton. That's why I like this card.
That was a great hint that I didn't pick up
I
on.
remember Dempsey used to do these weird things during the rain delays.
Yes,
he would the crowd.
He would always put like a pillow in his uniform, and he'd always mimic the manager. And, yeah, Rick Dempsey was awesome.
He was a character.
All right,
Love
time
that
to
dude.
redeem yourself for the 400 level. It's getting nothing but harder here, but we are going to the National League, except for the last one. We're going to the National League the next three here. Let's go to the Atlanta Braves, who were really awesome back in the early 90s. This is their first baseman that I didn't know much about. I remember having a bunch of cards of his. Big left-handed bat. First base, I really thought he was one of the coaches whenever I watched the Braves. Again, my grandma from Atlanta, huge Braves fan, so I had to watch a lot of Atlanta Braves growing up. But this guy was a Brave back in 1969. He got back on the Braves in 89. Big, old, lumbering, old school dude from the Atlanta Braves early 90s. Can you get it? This is probably the dude before Fred McGriff.
Oh, God.
You're going to know this guy. I know you're going to know him. I need to know more about him.
Oh. Atlanta Braves.
Yeah. I'll give you
Got
a
it.
clue, too. He was also a Tiger. Before that, he was a Giant.
Oh, dude.
Dude, we're talking Braves 69 to 76, Giants 77 to 83, Tigers 84 to 88. And
Big left-handed hitter, right?
Yep, big lefty. Big number 11.
Hit 40 home runs one year.
Sure did.
Oh, my God.
Sure did. 1985 hit 40 home runs with the Tigers. Wow.
Oh, my God. Oh, I can't remember. White guy,
Yeah,
right?
big white guy. Now that you say that with the Tigers, I think I have more Tigers cards of him than I did Atlanta Braves cards. But I remember him as a Brave during the World Series back, the David Justice.
I know. I remember. Go ahead. Tell me his name.
Darrell Evans.
Darrell Evans.
What do you know about Darrell Evans?
Well, I know he was a tough out, and he was, you talk about clutch hitters, guys that coming up in the ninth inning, I would face a lot of those guys. And so you had to really be on your game. Remember, that's when Dave Justice was there, and Ronnie Gant, who I played with in winter ball, and you had a lot of those guys that were the foundation for all those championships.
He was a
teams.
weak link. Like, you're talking Pendleton, you're talking Otis, even Jeff Blauser probably gets up in the lineup more than Darrell Evans.
Yep. Absolutely.
How does this guy stay in the league from 69 to 91?
Because back then, if you were like, excuse me, we had guys on our team. Ken Griffey Sr. had come over from the Braves.
Yeah.
You had Dave Collins. You had Joel Youngblood. So you never trusted pinch hitting to young players. The pinch hitters came up because they were gamers. They could. I was with the Marlins with Gary Sheffield in '96, and Andre Dawson was on the team.
Right.
And was like 40. And Andre could barely walk, but you knew he'd give you a great at-bat in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning when you were doing the double switching. So
Right. There you go. That's, I think, nail on the head, too.
So
why
that's
the Braves
why
bring him
Darrell
back.
Evans stayed in the National League at the end, because he wouldn't go in for defense, but he could give you a pinch hit for the pitcher.
Unreal. Okay, I can't wait to hear more about this guy. I heard he was a Cub. I didn't think he was a Cub very long. He started with the Rangers back in 1986, became a Cub in 89, and I do believe he's crossed your path. I remember them calling him Wild Thing back in the day.
Oh, Mitch Williams?
You are correct, sir.
Correct!
Give him a ding. I did not know he was a Cub.
Yeah, he was, dude. He used to fall all over the mound as a Cub.
Dude, he looks like, even in the still picture on the back, he is sweating his butt off. Like, he is a...
Dude, he had the best mullet. He was number 2 behind Billy Ray Cyrus.
So true.
With
Mullet is represented on this card.
Goes to the Phillies, really gets his stuff together, and ends up giving up that Joe Carter home run in '93.
Yeah. Now,
in Game 7.
Was that the same game, or was it a different game in that series? I just remember him being on the mound, being totally goosed up for the save, and there was a moment where the umpire calls time, but Mitch Williams doesn't even notice the calls time and just like rockets a ball.
Yeah.
And he's like midway through the pitch and he realizes it's time. So he kind of like throws it away, but still at like 100 mile an hour.
I don't know if it was Game 7, but yeah. I mean, because he never looked at home plate.
Right.
I mean, part of his mechanical flaw was that he was flying towards the third base side as a lefty, trying to throw it 100 every time. And, he got really low. The one thing Mitch always had was a great drop and drive. Like, remember Tom Seaver, Bill Gullickson, guys like that? Those dudes could always get low to the ground and push off. You don't see many guys like that today. More stand tall and fall kind of pitching today.
Right.
But Mitch was one of those guys that could really get low to the ground. Sid Fernandez was a drop and drive guy. And those guys really torqued their legs towards home plate.
He had 129 strikeouts with the Rangers in 1987, second year in the league. 129 strikeouts. He only pitched 108 innings.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the Rangers were the ones that burnt him out.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, he had great years with the Phillies. He was their main closer.
Absolutely. Like I said, it's kind of like he got a second win with them, and he's a different guy. He's what made guys like me and him. Everybody's like, you guys are flakes. I'm like, absolutely. Thank you. That's a compliment.
All right. I did not know if I was going to put this fella in the mix today, and I asked Bob Joyce if he knew the name, and Bob Joyce rattled off every team that he played for except the one that's featured on this card, which is a Montreal Expo card. Now, he was a Mariner, and then he got traded to the Red Sox back in the late 80s, and then eventually made his way to the Expos here to start the 1990 season. He also was there in 89 for a bit. A shortstop, a white guy with a name that I don't really see on white guys that much. That's probably the best clue I can give you. Number 11, shortstop for the Expos back in 1989/90.
Spike Owen?
Wow, dude! I'm ashamed to say this. I don't know much about Spike Owen. Tell me more.
Spike, I think he went to the University of Texas. He was one of those Clemens guys, and what the heck?
So do you think Clemens has something to do with getting him on the team?
Absolutely. Spike was like, dude, you want to talk about hardcore, chewing the mouth, the chewing tobacco, the chaw, and all that, and just you look up gamer in the dictionary, and Spike Owen's name is there. Bald before his time. I mean, but he was a great guy. I loved hanging out with that guy.
So Buck Rogers says a quote here in the back of this baseball card. He has done everything the 8th place hitter is supposed to do, especially the little things that aren't always easily noticed. And, yeah, he makes some great plays. Spike Owens. There you go. Now you know, kiddos. Spike Owens. John Ashmead, do you know anything about Spike Owens? You're a Red Sox fan. Look at that. Teaching Ashmead something here on Quiz the Dibbs. All right, final one, Dibbs. I really wish you could see this card, because I thought it was Kurt's dad. I mean, just imagine Kurt's dad with glasses pitching for the Tigers, and it's like, who in the hell let this guy actually get out there with the baseball? Big glasses, big frame, and
Hernandez.
Oh my gosh!
Aurelio? No, not Aurelio.
If you get the first name, you got an A+ for the day.
Oh, I can't think of it. He was an MVP.
No way!
Yes, he was a Cy Young MVP. One of the few.
Wow.
He was also known as Willie. That was his other name.
Willie Hernandez, that's right.
It is Willie Hernandez.
Is it Aurelio?
Oh, very close. Guillermo Hernandez, yes.
Yeah, it's Aurelio Lopez. Yeah, there was some crazy guys like that. Juan Berenguer back then. So Juan Berenguer, when he would get a save, he'd do this whole bow and arrow thing way before that. What's his dude did that?
Yeah.
We had some guys that always almost start a riot. With the way they celebrated strikeouts and saves and stuff. It's like, I just, like Eckersley, who was my idol, when he became a closer and he struck out, he pointed at you. He was unbelievable.
Nice.
I mean,
so what
me,
did
I was
Guillermo
like, I don't want to poke the bear.
What did this dude do? What was and you're right, 84 is the year, Cy Young MVP.
Flipped you off.
That's the
Probably
80s,
flip
man.
you off.
That's the 80s. That would be so demoralizing getting struck out by this old man, and then he flips you off.
I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna open up a can of worms here, and people will be like, "Really?" Yeah, some guys were on narcotics.
No way. No way.
Yeah. So they weren't in their right mind all the time. Steve Howe, a lot of other players I played with. Yeah. Do a little bump here and there.
Honestly, in the back of this car, this dude looks exactly like my ex-wife's dad, my old father-in-law here. Probably would flip you off.
Here's another thing. Lot of crazy guys back then, man. I think that's kind of what's missing, that spiciness in the clubhouse where you know, see, back in my day, and I hate to say it, guy hitting 220, 60 games left, and you might just say something like, hey, you know, I saw you doing something the other night. Then that guy attacks you like a mountain lion. And you'd be like, dude, I was kidding. You know, guys were so wound tight, so worried about, you know, losing their jobs every day.
Carlos Rodon.
Yeah.
I watched Carlos Rodon last night.
Did you see his eyes?
Yeah.
That is a guy that you stay away from when he's having a bad day. Because,
yes.
I mean, I've told you the story about Jim Abbott. When I blew a save for Jim Abbott and he had a bat in his hand smashing it against the wall, I honestly believe he thought that wall was my head and wanted to do that to me.
Have you seen my guy? Now, I don't want to bring up any bad memories from last night. Kurt says we don't got time, but I'm sorry, Kurt. My Cubs beat the crap out of the Cincinnati Reds last night.
They bludgeoned them. 13 runs off of one pitcher.
I'll be surprised if any of the Reds want to show up and play baseball today. That's how embarrassing it was. Now,
at least they didn't get no hit.
Did you see my guy on the mound, Steele? Have you seen this animal get out there? He's like Carlos Rodon, but he can locate his pitches.
Well, Carlos is coming off an injury. But no, listen, that's why you kept Steele. He's the guy that I think you can build a rotation around.
I agree. Totally. He's a guy that I'm very confident in the next 2 months going into big-time baseball games.
Yeah, Stroman the day before did not look sharp because you know why? I'm going to tell you why. He probably thought he was getting traded.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm not going to be here for my next start.
Might not even pitch.
That's right. I might not even. But now Justin Steele's like, I knew I wasn't leaving. My ERA's a run less than Stroman, so I got it working. So 12-3 with a 2.6. That dude should be up for the Cy Young in the NL.
By the way, Guillermo Hernandez, Cy Young MVP, 32 saves as a closer, 9-3 with the record, ERA 1.5 something.
Yeah, back then that was unheard of. And back then they didn't get 50 attempts and get 50, you know, like Bobby Thinkpin getting 57 saves. That wasn't heard of back then.
Agreed. All right, Kurt says give me an applause, though. He did good. Give him an applause at the end. I mean, you're going to kick yourself with Dave Winfield and Mickey Templeton, but Guillermo Hernandez and Spike Owen, you taught us all something today, so we appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right, when we come back, the new skipper from the Hartford Athletic will join us, and you're going to love him.
I love him.
Ahmed Namazi.
I'm a fan.
Next on the Rob Dibble Show with Ben Darnell.
96.